All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lancaster Safety's Webinar Wednesdays. This Wednesday's topic is how to implement a safety culture. My name is Paige Conrad. I'm one of the client specialists here at Lancaster Safety. This is a topic that we address with many of our clients, and we are here today to share some great tricks and tips on how to get your employees excited about safety. I am joined today by our very own Jeff Corky Corkright. He has been with Lancaster Safety for about 2 years, and he is a third-generation carpenter who has been an OSHA outreach trainer for 15 years. He has also trained youth in safety at local schools, job corps, and many trade school apprenticeships. He was also involved in a local safety program at a 700-worker construction site, which won several safety recognition awards from OSHA and other safety institutes. He has spoken at OSHA VPP conferences and several different trade organizations. His compassion for safety continues as he does safety training for Lancaster Safety on a regular basis. He does like to tell true stories, and some of those may come up during our presentation today. With great pleasure, I turn things over to Corky now so we can get started. Thanks again, guys, and make sure that you answer and put all your questions in at the end, and we'll get to those at the end. And if we don't address your questions, we'll be sure to follow up with you after the webinar. All right, welcome, Corky. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Paige. That was a very nice introduction. I appreciate that. And it's good to be here myself, too. This is going to be a very interesting webinar. We're going to be covering quite a few subjects that what it takes to build a safety culture. And, you know, Paige, one of the things I wish I could do is put this in a bottle. Safety culture is important. It's a driving force on every workplace that if you want a safety program that's good, you have to build a culture. And when you're talking about culture, it's hard to describe it. A couple things we're going to be covering too is how to establish a safety committee, how this will benefit your company money-wise, why does the culture matter, and we're even going to talk about some failures. Why do some companies, when they're building their safety culture, they fail at it? And we're going to have some stories about that. And again, we're going to show you how to implement a good safety program through building your safety culture. So with that, let's go to that first slide there, Paige.
All right, Corky, what's the plan?
All right, so here, I know our webinar attendees right now are asking, you know, so what's the big deal? Why does safety culture matter? Again, this is going to lower your cost of doing business. I think everybody has heard, you know, safety pays, safety pays. Well, this is a perfect way to explain this or to show this. Again, benefits, a safer workplace is going to make the company more productive and more lean. How are you going to implement it? Again, that's we're going to be going over some steps on that. And of course, some failures out there. I've been around long enough, about 39 years doing this, and got some stories on how those failures, people really try, but they're barking up the wrong tree. So we're going to answer a lot of those questions you have there, and here we go. Let's get into it.
All right, Corky, what is a safety culture and how will it impact my company?
Again, like I said earlier, it takes commitment. And we're talking about commitment with money, with time. It takes, and this is the part that you can't bottle, like I was talking about, beliefs. When you start talking about beliefs and attitudes, you can't, those aren't tangible things. They are things that are out there in people's minds. You got to come up with good practices, policies, and practices. And then with all those build up and create, again, an atmosphere, something. You can't touch the atmosphere, but it's there. You can feel it. Many of us have worked at companies where we go, I know this is a safe company. And you just know it by walking in the front door. You can feel the attitude, the commitments, the beliefs. And it's hard to, again, if I could bottle it, I'd be a rich man right now. But we're going to discuss how you can get there and how you can create that atmosphere.
All right, sounds great. Let's go. Oh, we got an instant safety poll, Corky. Here we go. I would like everyone to take a moment. How would you rate your safety culture right now in your company? You guys have a company with a total commitment to working safely? Do we have a company that is committed for the most part, but not everyone participates? Do we have our company and upper management stressing safety, but making production more of a priority? Do we have a company where the employees want to be safe, but do not know how? They're not equipped with the proper tools. Or do we have a company with employees that don't listen to safety rules? So everyone take a minute, make your votes. Tallying in now.
Interesting, Paige.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So, and again, we're looking at most of the people, seem to think that their company's committed to safety. They're talking the talk, but not everybody's walking the walk. Okay, and this is a perfect example. It looks like our attendees have a good idea of what they want, but they don't know how to get there. So with that, yes, how are you going to get everybody to participate in this program? So let's go to the next slide and let's figure out how to do this, Paige.
All right. All right, Corky, can you tell us which factors result in an organization's safety culture?
Okay, so here we go. This is what it takes to build a safety culture. You got to start thinking about the management and employee, the norms, these assumptions and beliefs. Again, this isn't in writing. This is what's in the heads of the people that are working right now. There's people that assume that they're going to a safe job site, or they assume from what they've heard from the beliefs they got, that you're not a safe company. You got to start looking at the attitudes. And again, notice how all these slides we talk about management and employees. You just can't have employees thinking that they're going to be safe. You have to have that management commitment in there. And now you're going to start dealing with people's values. And again, people want to know what's in it for me and what are their values. What I always like to do is go back to their families. I mean, people have family values. They value their families. And it's always a good avenue to go if you're trying to get people to buy into your safety program. You got employee attitudes. You always have maybe one guy that doesn't want to get on board. How are you going to change those attitudes? We're going to discuss that. People have heard stories about your company. We know that you're a safe company. We know that they're a dangerous company. We heard, this story and that story. And again, to help with your safety program, you've got to have good policies and procedures. And they can't just be in writing and sitting up on a shelf. You have to visit those policies and procedures every single day. You have to enforce those policies. You have to communicate those procedures to your workers. And then you got to start worrying about your supervisor's priorities. Most supervisors are worried about production, looking good in front of their bosses. You got to start looking at their responsibilities. If you give your supervisors too many responsibilities, they don't master any of them. They're good at all, they do them all, but they aren't good masters of all of them. So you got to be careful about how many responsibilities you give your supervisors. And here's an important one: accountability. You have to have supervisors accountable. Workers are watching. If I have to wear safety glasses at work as an employee, that supervisor better be wearing those safety glasses. People are watching. And again, now here we are, a very capitalistic society. You got to worry about production, the bottom line. Are we making money? And the first thing to go out the window when the money pressures hit is safety, and then comes quality. So you got to be, these factors all make a difference. And then you got to start thinking about how are you going to correct those unsafe behaviors. Discipline sometimes works, maybe some peer pressure. We're going to talk about that, how that works. And of course, how can you expect someone to be safe if you don't train them? Again, the example I use is when you were a kid, you didn't know, putting your hand in a fire burned you. Well, that first time you did that, guess what? You were being trained. How are you going to motivate people? Again, sometimes money motivates people. Now you got to start digging into their psychological needs. Are they motivated by a sticker? Are they motivated by money? Are they motivated by a vacation? Something like that. And again, employee involvement. When the employees think or know it's their idea, they're going to buy in. You've got to get the employees involved in building your safety program, building your safety culture. Let's see what other factors are involved there, Paige. Looks like we have another safety quiz here. How do you build a safety culture? You assign it to one person to organize and implement the plan. You put the concept in your employee handbook. I've seen that done. Get every level of your organization involved. Or you buy a safety culture program online. I'm sure, okay, here comes some votes in here, what people have picked. And again,
some interesting feedback there.
Yeah, there you go. Good to have you back there, Paige. Again, looks like our attendees know what's going on. You have to get every level of organization involved.
All right. Keep on grooving here. All right, Corky, what are some management processes that can be developed and improved upon?
Okay, so now we got to start, you must define the responsibilities at all levels. Again, you can't just have one, management in charge of it. You can't just have you've got to have everybody involved in developing this culture, this safety program. What you're going to do is you're going to have to build some upstream measures. Okay, you got to set some goals for yourself. What are we going to do to get to this level? Are we going to start looking at accidents, or do we want the accident rates to go down? Are you going to set up a committee? How many people are going to be on that committee? How many just employees are going to be on there? How many supervision? Is anybody from the safety committee going to be on there? And you're going to get everybody together that has the same vision. Again, a lot of places of employment, management and supervisors are button heads. How are you going to get those guys together? That is what's important in this. These are the actions and things that you're going to have to do.
All right. Keep moving here. All right, some other processes that can be developed and improved upon.
Okay, again, you got to implement, a process where everybody's responsibilities are, again, they're put in writing, they're enforced. You're going to, of course, set up a safety committee, make sure they're functioning correctly. Now, what do you mean by that? Again, this is where I'm going to go into my true stories. where I saw a safety committee was made up. They were doing it right. They got management involved. They got supervision involved. They got employees involved. Well, guess who started missing the meetings because they had other stuff to do? It was supervision.
I'm going to vote management. That's going to be my poll.
And the management started missing the meetings. So here was our safety committee going, well, what? I guess management's not committed anymore. It sends shockwaves through our safety culture program. And we were able to get back in line. We had ways to measure, and we had it in writing how the program worked, and we identified management needs to be there. And what was great to see is upper management got on board. They heard us employees. We're just workers. They heard us I guess crying for help. They came out, and this is where discipline comes in. They came in, disciplined the manager, told that person, you need to get on board. This is your commitment. Of course, they had excuses, and guess what upper management said? I don't care. You will be at these safety meetings. You will be supporting your employees. You will be part of this program. You will support this safety culture. I mean, and to see that commitment from upper management meant so much to the employees. You see how psychologically, how this is all needed to have a good safety culture. Very good. Let's go to that. I think we got some more stuff to talk about, what processes and developments we need. There you go.
Yep, couple more.
Okay, so now you got to provide multiple paths for employees to bring in suggestions. Your employees are some of the smartest people on the job. They're right there. They're at the front lines. They're the ones that are probably going to be injured on the job site. Who knows better than that in that subject category is your employees. So how are you going to get the message from the employees up to safety committee, up to management? You've got to make good channels. A suggestion box, cool. Make it accessible. How are you going to do that? If you have a large project or business, have suggestion boxes and act on them. Open them up every once in a while, or have where the employees can go up to their supervisor and give comments, and that supervisor will get that information up the chain to the right people to help with the program. You got to have that communication going. You want to develop a good system that you take care of these matters. Set a timeline. Hey, we got this note from so-and-so that says they're worried about the glove situation. We don't have the right gloves for the job. Take care of it immediately. Don't put it on the back burner. Don't make a committee about it. Act on it promptly. The workers will see that. There's another thing you got to do is you got to evaluate your incident investigation program. Again, start looking at your first aids. Try to find some trends. The most important thing out there, and this is where a lot of people fail, we're looking at near misses. And those near misses are the most important. It's not an accident. You got to talk about the accident pyramid. You got all these little things that happen, all these little near misses. They build up, and they finally end up, a fatality. And then you're looking back and what happened? Well, all these little things were lining up. And you definitely need to address those right away. Now, here's what's going to happen, and this is what scares a lot of companies. They implement this incident investigations, this reporting of near misses. All of a sudden, they get all this information, like, holy cow, our job site's going, our work site's going to pot. Well, this is going to happen. You have to prepare for this increase in accident reporting. It's going to skew your reports. people are going to say, hey, our program's not working. No, what has been happening is so many accidents, near misses were all pushed underground. The guys weren't talking about them. They just covered them up. And so get ready for some big numbers, a lot of first aid reporting. And guys, it's normal for that. Don't do the knee-jerk reaction and think you're doing everything wrong. It's part of the program. And then also, with those accident investigations, you're going to be looking in root causes. Again, you're not looking at workers to blame. And this is a key one, people. It's a no name, no blame program. You can't go after workers and discipline them for turning in a near miss. You need to thank them for turning in that near miss. You don't need to broadcast names. You need to work with them to find out what the root causes were. You don't be looking at the product, what's out there. Let's say you got cords laying on the ground that are making trip hazards. Don't yell at the worker for having that cord on the ground. Talk to them and says, what behavior of yours caused that cord, that electric cord, to be on the ground to make a trip hazard? Really dig into it deep. Don't look at just the employee. Look at the behaviors that were producing why those behaviors happened. Pretty intense, isn't it, Paige?
It really is. It definitely is. All right, let's see what we got coming up next. Okay. What about top management? Do they need to buy into this kind of process? Does everybody need to be involved?
Like we were saying earlier, if management is not involved, you might as well just throw your entire program away. The workers can see it, they can sense it, and again, this is stuff that I'm talking about that you can't put your finger on it. The worker can sense it if management doesn't care. How do you get management, to buy in? There's always that constant battle between management, supervision, and workers, and it's all about production. And again, I know companies got to, if you're in business, you've got to produce, you've got to make profits. I mean, that's why you're in business. But if everybody works together, if you look at all some of the top companies that have invested in safety, go look at their profit lines. Their profits went up in direct correlation with the amount of money they invested in their safety program. And again, you're going to hear it again, safety pays. There's companies out there that have proven it. We just need to change that mindset. So definitely management needs to start working with supervision and the employees. Good stuff though, huh?
Very good. Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit about building the trust that's needed in this.
Okay. It takes a long time to build up trust. And you're looking at our three circles here, and there's so much stuff involved. You got to have the communication. How do you build unity? How do you show compassion? Now, what I want everybody to do is think back when they had, wow, that was a good boss. You'll remember that person. Why was that guy a good boss? Why was that person? Why would I have done anything for that boss? And I would have done, and the company was profitable. It's great to be on a ship that's sailing good, not a sinking ship. And what you have to do is you have to have somebody that, again, they're a supervisor. He's not your best friend, but he's a compassionate leader. Very, very important. Cares about your staff. You got to be able to communicate. If there's a lack of communication, it just, the workers feel like they're left out. And then you got to have the unity. How are you going to do that? And it takes all three of these areas to create this trust. Trust is not built in one day. It's not built in 1 week. This takes time. And here's a good story, Paige, talking about trust. I was visiting with some guys I worked with at the construction site. And I go, how's your safety program? And they're like, yeah, it's good. And I go, so any type of, you get like rewards or some type of recognition? And he goes, yeah, every month there's no accidents, and again, we don't want to push the accidents, we don't want to hide them, but if everything went good and safe, no workman's comp claims, everything's going good, everybody's on board, the owner of the company, this is the top management, the owner of the company does a drawing, one of the workers' names is pulled out, and that worker is given the keys to the owner's Corvette for the weekend. How'd you like that, Paige?
That would take some pretty serious trust.
Yes.
So I can imagine that they've got a great mutual trusting relationship in that company.
Yeah, trusting a construction worker with a Corvette for the weekend, that's his baby. It's a vintage one. And so that right there, now that is a sign of trust. And that's great stuff. So anyway, yeah, check and see if the boss will give you the Corvette for the weekend there, Paige.
I'll give him a ring. I'll see what he can do.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got next?
All right, looks like we got another quiz. Another quiz coming up. All right, this one. Why do you want a strong safety culture? Do we want this safety culture to get recognition? Do we want a safety culture to boost employee morale? Do we want it to reduce injuries? Do we want it because you're supposed to? Or do we want it to save money? Everyone take a minute, make your polls, see what comes of it, Corky.
Okay, so basically, you're looking at all these answers. There's no right or wrong answers here on this one. Okay, people want recognition. A good way to do it, and again, you got to look at it's Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy. We're getting into psychology again, guys. What does it take for a person to feel like they've contributed to your safety program? Some people like money. Some people like to hear a recognition in front of their peers. That is worth a lot of money. Just saying, hey guys, work you did good in front, this week. I'd like to thank him in front of you guys. Maybe a certificate. One of the things I found is for recognition, stickers. Very simple. Low cost. Guys with hard hats love to put stickers on them. Some of them take their stickers home. And so very important. Of course, you want to make sure you boost morale. Morale is very important. And again, how do you do that? I've worked on jobs where two different crews, two different supervision, the way they supervise their people. And one job site, morale was up. The other one, the morale was down. And it all just depended on what the culture they were building and how the guys got along. And of course, you definitely want to start reducing injuries. Reducing injuries, again, people, when you start looking at the cost of a safety program versus one injury, one fatality, the numbers are staggering. And of course, some people wanted to start a safety program or change their safety culture just because they're supposed to. Well, if that's your motivation, that's great. That's good to see. And of course, we talked about already saving money. So all good reasons to have a strong safety culture. Okay. Let's go to the next slide there, Paige.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about conducting self-assessments in the workplace.
Now this is hard because here you got to examine yourself, see how well, see how bad you're doing. Again, you look at as you go up this chart, you got who cares as long as I don't get caught. I've been on those type of job sites. I've been on job sites that were just reactive. Hey, someone got hurt. Let's come up with a plan to keep that from happening. These self-assessments need to be done continually. You need to be doing them, weekly, monthly, and you got to make sure that you're going in the right direction. You have to make sure you have all the right systems in place. You got to be proactive. In the successful program I was involved in, we were actually able to predict accidents coming because we were observing people doing their trades And we would say, you know what, we're finding a lot of people aren't wearing their gloves. First aid, get ready for some hand injuries. And we actually saw the next week hand injuries went up that were being reported. So being proactive instead of reactive, this is where you want to be. And then finally, you want to get to where your safety and health program is the way you do business. It's a continual on. It takes a long time to get there. It takes a lot of trust, and but it does work. I mean, it's great to be part of this program. You can see how things change. Okay.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about training next. You can probably give a whole wealth of information on.
This is my favorite one. Of course, I've been doing training for forever, it seems like, and training is very, very important. And what you got to do in a good successful program, the training starts the first day the person shows up. You talk to them. You have, instead of just having a safety person going, okay, here's our safety manual, get to work, sign the back page, go on. Have people from the field come in, talk to that new hire, say, hey, we have a safety program here. We want you on board. We need you on board. Would you like to be part of one of our safety committees? Right off the bat, that person, you see what the vibes you're sending that person? We have a safety culture here. Very, very important. Again, why does this matter? Again, you got to get the management on, you got to get supervision on, and you're building these safety committees. And again, now here's a mistake people make out there. They put together a safety committee, and they assign people to it. Wrong, people. You need to, on that first day, you tell people about their safety, we have a safety culture here. That's when you ask them, hey, would you be interested in joining this program? And get them to volunteer. And this is what we were talking earlier about the buy-in. Instead of being told you're on the safety committee, you say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. Great way to build a good safety committee is to do it with volunteers. Now, management, sorry, you guys got to be there. Maybe it's a volunteer for management, but again, you got to have that type of people on that committee to get things going. And don't make the mistake of assigning it or making it a burden to somebody. You want to be safe, not because you have to. It's because you want to. Remember that. So benefits on that, unbelievable, Paige. So, and again, people looking at that bottom dollar. Benefits, happy employees, low workman's comp costs. Going to celebration parties that no one got hurt instead of going to someone's funeral. I mean, this is, the benefits just go on and on and on. So, again, all good stuff. I think you got the next slide there, Paige.
Definitely. I do, yeah. All right, this is another instant poll. We're going to talk a little bit about the initial training that we would be doing. Training, it may include both safety and health training, and it includes for all employees and any needed management, team building, hazard recognition, or communication training. It gives you a core group of people to draw upon as resources and also gets key personnel on board with the needed changes. So with that being said, what would you include in this initial training? Would it be brainstorming sessions to hear what your team members view as safety problems? Would we be assigning teams to focus on one safety issue at a time? Having one person interview hourly employees individually to hear their ideas? Buy donuts and coffee to keep people awake? Or have one person speak and tell people what the plan is? Take a moment, make your choices. I know I'm a big coffee and donut fan, but I don't know if that's the one I'd go with. But take a minute, make your polls, and we'll see what it's looking like.
Okay, Paige. See those coming in? All good ideas. Um, I know that a lot of people laughed at that donut one, but we'll get to that here. So the brainstorming session. Again, workers they're out there. They have great ideas. Please listen to them. Don't discard what they say. They do know what's going on out there. Assigning teams to focus on one safety issue at a time. Again, good idea, but it could be expanded on instead of just one safety issue at a time. I know you got to stay focused, but there's a lot of safety issues going on at the same time. Don't get stuck into just looking at one area. You've got to keep the blinders off. You got to look at the whole work site and make sure that there's nothing else going on there. I got here's an interesting one. Have one person interview hourly employees. Again, some people don't get along with each other. I would rather talk to one of my peers, a fellow worker. Sometimes I don't like to listen to management, or management doesn't like to listen to me. You've got to get somebody that they're comfortable with. And again, with that being said, workers or successful programs, safety programs, the manager is very approachable. In the case of that job I was on, the manager walked the job site. He'd come up to you, Corky, how's the family doing? How do you like that drive to work today? It was a little bit, foggy or something. He was a real person to me, treated me like a human being. I would give that man any information he needed about safety. So management has to be very approachable. The donut thing, again, good idea. That's not going to be the only thing to make a good safety culture or safety committee, steering committee.
Definitely good motivation.
Yeah, well,
I think it's a good motivational tool.
We had the management said, if you guys do good and get 100% of your reports, they were rewarding the steering committee with report, or if you did your reports, they go, we'll buy you some breakfast burritos. And so that worked the first week, and we all had our burritos. And then we started thinking to go, it wasn't us, it wasn't the committee. So we got the management to say, no, we don't want burritos for us. We want burritos for the workers out there. Management goes, and we're like, hey, you going to financially commit to this? And they're like, yes. And I go, well, let's reward the workers for giving us the right information for working safe. And so it created a culture. Everybody took care of each other. We had what they call the Brothers Keeper program going. We watched out for each other, and we shared the food. Not just the committee got the food. Donuts for everybody. That's the way it works. And again, the last answer there was have one person speak and tell people what the plan is. Again, don't tell me what to do. Show me what to do. Help me. How am I going to buy in if someone's telling me? Again, have your workers give you the ideas, reinforce those. It's their idea. They're going to buy in. All good stuff. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about the steering committee.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about establishing a steering committee.
Again, I am not a committee person. You hear the word committee, people just shudder. Let's make a committee to make committees. But this is very important. The steering committee, again, who's going to be on this committee? It's going to be the driving force for this entire safety program. It's one of those things you have to do. Who's going to be on that committee? We're going to have, of course, we're going to have management. We're going to have supervision. We're going to have workers. We're going to have safety people involved. You need all those people to help this program come up with a process and make sure things are getting done. With that, that committee is going to come up with things to change. And change is hard to push. But if that change came from your fellow worker, it wasn't just supervision saying, hey, this is what you got to do. It was your fellow worker. Yeah, I was on the committee. This is what we're thinking about doing. Oh, okay, I can live with that. You need good leaders on this steering committee. And again, leaders, start looking for the people that the workers look up to. I always call it the Papa Smurf thing. You know, everybody loves Papa Smurf. They do anything for him. Get that guy on that committee. They're going to provide, you know, guidance to the direction of which way the safety program's going. And again, they're going to have authority. Again, with management on board, the workers saying this is how it works. Everybody gets on the same page. And again, the more levels you get involved, the better this whole safety committee will operate. Okay, let's talk about, let's go to the next slide there, Paige.
All right, let's talk about some other ways to maintain a successful safety culture.
You got to have a vision. Again, you got to have goals. You're going to be doing that continually, looking at your program, making sure that you're staying on task and going in the right direction. Job site I was on, again, we're construction workers. We're used to building things, not doing paperwork and managing things. Having office personnel and management on it, sort of every once in a while we'd be veering off in a different direction. They'd bring us back on, get us back on track. Again, you got to keep the organization in line, make sure everybody's got the same safety vision, the same goals, objectives, and again, talk about production. And again, this will come up. I mean, production is one of the things that takes away from a safety program, but it's part of a safety program. Guys, hey, we want to be safe. How can we help with production? Hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. And we can have safety and we can have production at the same time. Great idea. Let's run with it. Good stuff. So, again, developing a system of accountability. This is where a lot of companies go wrong. Discipline. Okay. How are you going to discipline people? Most of the time, most companies have a 3 strikes you're out policy, and you have to enforce that. You got to hold people accountable. As soon as you say, well, we can't send that person home for doing unsafe acts because we need them for productivity. I've been on those jobs. That just sends the message to everybody. The safety program focused. You have to enforce it. You have to spread it evenly amongst the employees. If a supervisor does something wrong, boom, he gets the same type of disciplinary action as the worker downstream from him. And again, you're going to develop measurements. What are we after? Where do we want to be at the end of this month? Where do we want to be 2 months from now? And you're going to be asking for feedback on those too. So you not only do you have the goals, get the feedback from the employees. This is how you create a good safety culture.
All right. More ways to maintain a safety culture.
We're going to maintain it. So we built a safety culture. A lot of work. We hit it. We're right there. Again, now you've developed policies, procedures. Hopefully those are intact. Sometimes you got to tweak them a little bit. But then now, how are you going to reward the guys? How are you going to do the recognition? I'll show you a perfect example of what not to do. I was involved in a safety program where we received every month, if no accidents were reported, boom, we got a silver dollar. And it was real silver dollars, an ounce of silver. And the guys always look forward to that in their paycheck, and that was our incentive program. So anyways, 1 month, is that payday, and I didn't see my silver dollar. All of a sudden, one of the workers comes around, and he's handing out $20 bills. He had a wad of them. Worky, I reported my knee injury. Here's $20 to make up for that lost silver dollar. And that's when it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. We've been driving injury reporting underground because we're greedy. We wanted that silver dollar. It completely sent the wrong message. It was the wrong type of recognition. If they would have came out and said, hey guys, no safety, it's the silver dollar lost its purpose. it worked good for a couple months, but then it messed up the whole system. Again, you got to have awareness training, a successful program. You'll be sitting there watching the workers work, watch the behavior, develop training, ongoing training, not just new hire training, not yearly training, continual training of workers, and see what's going on the job site and tweak that training to follow the behaviors that you're watching on that site. And again, you're going to continually measure your performance. Are we doing good? Are we doing bad? Are we communicating good with everybody? And I like this one, celebrate success. One of the things we did on our successful site was we had a safety barbecue. Cool. But get this. Guess who served the workers? Can you guess, Paige? Yes, exactly. Management came in. They were put on their barbecue bibs and aprons, and they served, and it was the message that sent to the workers. The management, had to come out of the office for a little bit. They got to meet the workers again. They got to say hi. They got to joke around. They got to serve them burgers and the Cokes and things like that. The workers appreciated it. That was a celebration, and the safety culture just grew that much more that day. And again, of course, ongoing support. Once you reach the plateau, you're there, you're operating safely, everything's working good, culture's working good. Don't drop the support. You have to keep it going. And when I mean support, I mean financially, I mean management jumping in there, the manpower, and the time. If you're doing, having safety meetings once a week for an hour, keep that up. That's the ongoing support you need. Okay, we're going to be wrapping up here pretty quick, it looks like.
All right. Pretty close. Yeah, we're getting to the end here, but before we've got, how some ways to know that your efforts are working.
To see that, you want to make sure that you identify that the program is working. Watch leadership. Make sure that they're empowering the people underneath them to keep this safety program going. What you're going to see is your employees are going to know their stuff. They're going to know how to be safe. They're going to be actually kidding around with each other, helping each other, doing that brother's keeper thing. Everybody's working together. Everybody knows their stuff. Safety and production, we talked about that earlier. Again, they're going to mesh together. Production and safety are both going to thrive together. You definitely don't want any type of a showdown in between those two. Those have to work together. Again, here we go with management, helping out financially. Again, you're going to have to invest some money. Paige, you got any idea? They did a study. For every dollar that's invested in a safety program, guess what the return is?
I'm going to say it doubles. I'm going to say you get a $2 return on every dollar that you spend.
Okay, that's a pretty good assumption.
That's my guess.
Doubling your money. They've actually done studies that it can double up to 6 times what you've invested. And there's charts on that from the big companies that keep track of that. For every dollar, a $3 to $6 return. Not bad, eh?
That's again, a great deal, in my opinion.
To keep the employees participating in the program. Don't leave them out. This is when you know they're working, when they're rotating in and out of your safety committees. Everybody's working together. And you start looking at it, and you're going to see the morale, employee satisfaction. Going to go home at the end of the day, patting each other on the back. We worked safe today. We're going back home to our families. You're going to see morale. And when you see that, morale goes up, production goes up. Very good.
All right. Couple more reasons and ways we know our efforts are working.
Again, people are being proactive instead of reactive. You're looking at workers' behaviors. What are they doing, and why are they doing that? And you're not waiting for the accident to happen. You're predicting the accident's coming. You nip it in the bud, and you just saved company money. You save the worker from getting hurt. Your communication program's going good. Your suggestion boxes are going good. Workers are talking to their bosses. Workers are talking to the safety people, and everything's going, you know, you know, up into the right group so that we can understand what's going on. Employees know what the consequences are. They'll look at each other and go, "Hey, Joe, if you don't wear your hard hat, guess what? They're going to write you up. Joe, they catch you without your hard hat, twice in a row, you're going to be sent home." They know what the consequences are, and everybody is treated the same. You got management involving. The management's barbecuing for you. The management's handing out snacks. The management's working, talking to the workers. Again, employees aren't afraid to speak up. They can say what they, any of their safety concerns with no repercussions, no name, no blame. And again, management is welcoming feedback. They're saying, "Come on, guys, talk to me. Let me know what's going on." And there's that communication we were talking about going. And then here's the other one. You don't fear an inspection from Lancaster Safety. Here's something. Usually safety guy shows up, everybody scatters. Or an OSHA inspection. Close the gang box, go home. No, this is when you know it's really working. You welcome the safety guy. They're doing a safety audit. OSHA shows up. "Come here. Let me show you what I'm doing. Let me show you my harness I'm wearing. Let me show you how we're working safe with this machine. Look what we're doing here." This is when you know it's working. This is when you just stand back and go, "Wow, we built a safety culture." And it's a wonderful thing to see going. So I think we're ready for what next here, Paige?
All right, it is time for questions. So everyone take a chance, put your questions in. We'll address as many of them as we can in the last 8 minutes that we have here with you guys today. And again, if we don't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up with you after the webinar. So got a couple in here already, Corky. I think this is a good one to start with. Can OSHA fine us if we don't have a safety committee in place?
Safety committee isn't required, but they're going to be looking at how your safety program operates. You must have a written program, and I'm sure some of our webinar attendees, where do I get that from? Well, that's what Lancaster Safety Consulting does. We do write custom written safety programs. We will help get a safety committee going. A lot of states will, or a lot of workman's comp insurers will give you discounts if you have a safety committee. It's all good. I highly recommend it. Not required, but the people that are winning at this safety all have safety committees. Good question.
Yeah, I think so too. This question coming in, where do I find information to talk about during safety meetings?
Okay, if you do have a safety committee going, they know what the buzz is going around the job sites or the work site. They got a pretty good feeling. That'd be a good subject. Another good subject is if you've observed some unsafe behaviors, look at that and say, "Hey, let's talk about that. We see a trend maybe happening here. Yeah, look at this first aids. Talk to the the first aid people. Say what's been going on? What have you been seeing?" Another one is topics in the news is a good one to cover. And then a lot of I know what Lancaster Safety puts in our safety program is usually we put in like 52 different safety toolbox talks, safety talks. They're reprinted, places to sign in on them, and those are already inside our safety program. So you can just borrow those if you need to.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to come in and I'm going to give a little input on this question too. Being a client of ours at Lancaster Safety, we also create monthly and quarterly newsletters. We put those out to all of our full service clients once a month, and they are jam-packed full of articles, videos, links, printable handouts, tons of information and resources. That is a great way to incorporate into your safety committee meetings, as well as morning meetings with your crews on job sites. We provide for you monthly a newsletter that has a ton of information in it, And we keep that up to date every month. So that's another great place to find information to discuss during safety meetings, bringing up OSHA news releases, things, just keeping you up to date with everything in safety. So there's another great way to get some more information. All right. Looks like we got another question here. It seems like having a good safety culture is a great idea, but on average, how long would you say it would take to expect a change?
Good question. And again, it's good to set goals. We talked about that earlier. What I have seen, and OSHA has a program called VPP, and in that program, it's a volunteer protection program. Very good program. It's state of the art. It's where good, safe companies get recognized by OSHA for their safety. For what they were doing with their safety, and in that, OSHA says we want you to develop a program, and we want you to do it for a year before we come out and audit you. So OSHA says a year is usually what it takes to get, probably the quickest you can get there. And a lot of companies don't get their VPPs recognized in the first year. I've seen a year is the fastest anybody's ever gotten it. So don't get discouraged if you don't get it. Your safety culture built up in a year could take many years. I wish I could bottle it and give it to you, and you can start it next week and have it. But at least a year I'd give it.
Okay. Another question. I am a safety director and started doing a safety committee meeting each month. I find it overwhelming though, and tried giving some of the duties to other employees, but at the next meeting, nobody came prepared. What do you suppose I should do?
Hopefully you got some requirements for those people that are on that committee. Again, it doesn't sound like these people are committed. I don't know, maybe you assign those people instead of them volunteering for this. You've got to get people whose heart's in safety, who have, a lot of them are, maybe somebody, that, or some worker that has been injured or knows somebody's been injured. That grabs their attention. They need to know that how serious this is. I mean, good try putting that, committee together, but they have to have a commitment. Hopefully you got a discipline program for people on the committee. If you don't turn in the reports, guess what? You do that 2 weeks in a row, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be voted off the island, or you're gonna be voted off the committee. And show them that you're serious about this. So a little bit of problem. I don't think it's something that you can't manage, but hopefully it'll help you there.
Sounds good. Yeah, we have a safety committee here at Lancaster at our home office in Pittsburgh. We just had our monthly meeting on Wednesday, April 1st, and we did not have a seat in the room. It was standing room only at our safety committee. So it's definitely important to, get volunteers on the committee, and we have, guests every month, and I was very happy to report that we had so many guests that there was no chairs. So definitely takes time, I think, to establish, but it's a great addition to a workplace. I definitely enjoy being a member of our safety committee here. And Corky, it looks like we're pretty much out of time here, but I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If we did not get to your question, please expect a follow-up from us. We will reach out to you. Take a moment, everyone, like us on social media. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, Google+, we're on LinkedIn and YouTube. So you can find us on all of those medias and get even more information about our services and what we can do for you if you're not already a client. Also, we just posted our next webinar. It is on Wednesday, May 13th at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And that is going to be on stop wasting time at your safety committee meetings. So I think that's a great follow-up after this webinar today. Other than that, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Corky. You have brought a lot of great expertise to the table, and we really appreciate having you here today.
Be safe out there.
Sounds good, sir. We'll catch you next time. Have a safe day, everyone.